The first and foremost thing to understand, because the reason you're probably here is to lose weight. And if your goal is to gain weight, this is also true for you as well. There's a lot of people who have a tough time gaining weight, gaining muscle, gaining size. I'm definitely one of those people. But most of you guys are here to lose weight. So the first thing we need to understand is why calories in particular are so important. Now, right here on this table, I have the book Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia. He's a medical doctor, cancer surgeon, but I think that his perspective on nutrition and really on health and fitness in general is very first principles, very ground up thinking. And I think that it isn't filled with a lot of the fluff that you see from a lot of nutrition, health, and fitness books that are out today. One of the things he says actually in the book is that there are 40,000 nutrition books on Amazon. There's probably more now as I'm filming this. And they can't all be right. If there's 40,000 of them right, they can't all be true. And what I've found is that's absolutely true. And there's so much variation as to what makes people feel good in their diet and what makes people feel poorly. But we have to figure out what are the things that are true for everybody, right? What's the foundation? So that way we know how are we going to give people a framework on how to lose weight every time consistently. And that's my goal. I've helped a lot of people lose a lot of weight and reach their goals. And I need to tell you the things that work for everybody. And it's not going to be specific to each individual person. There are some individual differences. However, when it comes to calories, there's one thing you need to understand. And that is that if you want to lose weight, you have to eat in a calorie deficit. There's simply no way around it. And what those numbers look like for each individual person, whether it's 950 calories a day, whether it's 1,600 calories a day, whether it's 2,000 calories a day, what that looks like for each person is going to be different. But understand that if you are not losing weight and if you're not making progress there, it's because you're overeating calories. And if you're eating, if you're noticing that your body weight is the same every single day, you're plateauing, it's neutral, you're maintaining, that means you're eating just in a calorie neutral. You're not overeating, you're not undereating. And what we find is that's actually what most people are doing most of the time is they're just maintaining their body weight. Even people who are overweight are just maintaining their body weight. Now, what we see is people gain weight in a few different places. They gain weight over the weekends when they overeat and they binge eat and they binge drink. On the weekends with their friends when they're celebrating something. Maybe it's just a freedom from work. But they're also, the other time that they gain weight is on holidays or on vacations, right? They just let themselves go. They're like, I'm going to have fun. I'm not going to worry about the things that I eat. And then those are the times that they gain weight. So over time, over the course of, a lifetime, over the course of a year, you might have 5 weight gaining events, each of which you gain, let's say, 1 pound to 2 pounds in that weight gaining event. Let's say one of them is 4th of July. One of them's that summer cruise that you went on. Another one's Thanksgiving, and then another one is Christmas, and then another one's somewhere in there, maybe your birthday, right? So you have these 5 different events where you overeat to excessive amounts because you wanted to have fun, you wanted to let loose, you didn't want to think about the food, and according to a lot of us, food is equal to fun for some reason. I hate to be harsh, but I don't agree with that. So you have these 5 weight gaining events. Let's say you gain 1 to 2 pounds, let's say an average of 1.5 pounds. So over the course of a year, you gain 7.5 pounds. Now, 7.5 pounds over the course of a year isn't very noticeable. But over the course of a decade, that becomes a lot, right? That becomes, let's say, 50 to 75 pounds over the course of 10 years. And now you're 50 pounds overweight, and you're wondering how it all happened. It's because it happened very slow, and it didn't happen all the time. It happened only a few times a year. And you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't eat that much. How could I be like this? Well, you ate a lot sometimes, not all the time. So when people go on a program like this, our goal is to get them into a calorie deficit all the time. And again, what that calorie deficit looks like for each person is different based on 2 factors and 2 factors alone. It's based on their activity levels and their lean body mass. Now, we calculate lean body mass in here with the body fat percentage scale. And basically your lean mass is just the total sum of mass of your muscles and your organs. But really, if you want to think about it cleanly, you just want to think about muscle mass. So basically, how much muscle mass do I have? That is going to determine what my basal metabolic rate is. Basically, just the metabolic rate, where if I laid in bed all day and did absolutely nothing, what does it take just to keep the lights on? What does it take to keep my organs pumping, my heart pumping, the blood flowing to all my extremities, and my brain still operating in the top of my head before I get up out of bed and do anything, right? That's your basal metabolic rate. So that is individual to the person simply based on their lean mass. And then also what's going to add in here is your activity level. So everybody's activity level is a lot different. I have people who play tennis 3-4 hours a day. Those people's calorie intake per day is going to be a lot different than somebody who has a sedentary desk job working at a bank or as a financial advisor, as a lawyer, where you're just sitting down at a desk for about 8 hours a day. That person's activity level is super low. So basically the reason that 75% plus of the country is overweight is because we have very sedentary jobs, we don't have active lifestyles, and we have food that's really calorie dense. That's basically, and if you look at your life, you could probably be like, okay, that kind of sounds like it makes sense. I'm a relatively sedentary individual. I'm not super active. And, the foods that I eat, I know are bad. And bad just means, they have a lot of calories. So as much as we want to blame, hormones, or we want to blame menopause, or we want to blame age for the reason that our metabolic rate is different or that our bodies seem to not be able to lose as much weight, really at the end of the day, if you are older and you haven't worked out a lot, that means you probably don't have a lot of lean mass. And if you are successful, it means you probably have a white collar sedentary job. So these factors are going to make it so the amount of calories you can eat in a day are very, very low. A lot of the times for women, as an example, I'm setting them at about 950 calories a day. And a lot of the times that's still not low enough. And they worry because they're like, that doesn't seem like a lot of food. And they're right, it's not. And I'd like them to eat more. I'd like them to be more active. But a lot of times people are very busy. They're having a hard time finding that time to be more active. The truth is everybody can be more active. I 10 out of 10 recommend you be more active than eat so few calories. However, if you're only training in here at the gym 3 days a week and the rest of your life is very sedentary, you don't have a choice but to eat that few calories. And it's very hard to eat that few calories. And you're going to be hungry eating that few calories. And even if you're a guy and you're eating, let's say, 1,600 calories, and that's the deficit that I put you on, even that's going to be very challenging because your body's obviously burning quite a bit, and you're in a 400 to 500 calorie deficit. You're going to be hungry and it's going to be uncomfortable. So the reason that you're probably confused as to why you're not gaining weight or losing weight rather is because it's so challenging to eat so few calories. We're not developed to eat so few calories. We're developed to go find calories and then eat them in surplus quantities so that we store some of the extra on our body as fat for the times that you simply can't find calories. And then you have to use that fat in order to make up for the deficit. However, in modern times, we never don't have calories. There's always calories around us. There's always a grocery store that we can go to. There's always a good restaurant that we can stop in at and grab a bite to eat. We're never longing for calories. So our background as humans and evolution has not given us the mental tools to deal with the need for us to lose weight. Losing weight was a thing done in times of scarcity, not in times of we need to do it for our health. We didn't evolve to think about health and fitness. We evolved to survive. So this mindset shift is completely abnormal to our system. That's why it's so hard. It's not hard because you're a perimenopausal, premenopausal woman, or because you're a 58-year-old man and it's just harder now versus being a 28-year-old man. It's because eating so few calories takes a mental toll on you, and it's completely unnatural. And our goal is to do things with our diet, with our meal plan, to make it easier. But at the end of the day, it's never going to be easy. It's the reality of the situation. Now, if you still don't believe me, there's one thing I want to throw at you that's a foundational principle of science that is going to hopefully make you think a little bit differently. And this is where, if I'm getting pushback still from people, And this is why I'm creating this video series, is to kind of address the times where I get pushback and where people hit those plateaus, or they get disappointed, or they get a little uncomfortable or upset, either at me or at the system or whatever it is, or at themselves, because they're not making the progress that they want to make. I want to give you this one thing to just address all the pushback. And not all of us are scientists. I'm not a scientist. I identify as one, but I definitely don't live a life of a scientist. However, the first law of thermodynamics is something we should all look at carefully and think, if this law of physics is true, which has been proven true through many experiments over time, can we really say that there's other factors other than calories in, calories out that matter when it comes to weight loss? The first law of thermodynamics states that in an isolated system, energy is not created nor destroyed. It simply changes form. And calories are the form of energy that our body uses in order to run all of those functions that we talked about, right? It's our activity level and then also our basal metabolic rate. And we discussed how our basal metabolic rate, apparently I can't say that word very well, basal metabolic rate is simply a function of how much lean mass we have, so how much muscle and also organs we have, and then our activity level is how much do we do in a day, right? So if we have that understanding, that means that where are these calories coming from in order to run the functions of our body? The calories, which again are just the energy that's not created nor destroyed, it's just changing form, are coming from our food, and then also the calories that we've stored on our body in the form of fat. So if I'm eating a certain amount of calories, let's say my basal metabolic rate, let's just do a quick math. Let's say my basal metabolic rate is 1,000 calories. So without me doing anything, I'm going to burn 1,000 calories a day if I'm just laying in bed, just trying to keep the lights on. And then on top of that, I work out, which burns about 350 calories, and I'm just moving around generally throughout the day. I burn another 150. So now I'm at 1,500 calories for the day with my activity level, then also my basal metabolic rate. So where am I going to get the calories in order to do that work, right? The calories are going to come from the food that I eat, and then also, like I said, the fat that's stored on my body. Now, if I eat only 1,000 calories in that day and my activity plus my BMR is 1,500, I'm now in a 500 calorie surplus, but my body is going to have to get those calories from somewhere, or else I collapse on the ground and I can no longer do the things I'm doing at the moment. So it's going to get those calories from the fat that's stored on my body. That's how the calorie deficit works, and that's how you lose weight. And there's simply no way around it. It's not a function of your hormones. It's not a function of whether or not you're in menopause. It's not a function of even your age. So people who have just as much lean mass as myself at 28 years old are going to have the same basal metabolic rate that I do, even if they are 30 years older. So now we know, calories in, calories out. This law of thermodynamics is basically, I get we think of scientific laws as being set in stone. They're really not. They are subject to change over time. However, they're the most proven of the scientific principles that we have. So we know that this law of thermodynamics is pretty set. It's set enough to say that the 40,000 nutrition books on Amazon, if the ones of those 40,000 that never address calories in, calories out, but also tell you here's how to lose weight, those are probably not the right books to read because of this law of thermodynamics being the case and it being true. If you're still giving me pushback here and saying, well, I have, it's my hormones, it's my insulin, it's my this, it's my these other factors, it's my stress, it's cortisol, it's these things. These things probably don't have the effect that you think they do. And really, at the end of the day, it's you're overeating calories in order to lose weight. You're not in that calorie deficit, and you need to eat less food. So I hope that clarifies all you need to know about calories. Obviously, we have this law of thermodynamics that's set in stone. We can't do anything about the law of thermodynamics. Your best bet to lose weight is to increase activity as high as you can and decrease calories to a reasonable level. Now, you want enough calories in your system so you can get enough protein in your diet, right? That's a very, very important thing. Protein is going to make you feel more satiated, so it's going to make you feel more full. And at the same time, it's going to help. Protein is the building blocks. It's the foundation of the muscle that you need in order to get stronger. So we want to make sure we have enough protein. That way we can also build and either or maintain our muscle mass. We don't want to lose muscle while we're trying to lose weight. At least we want to try to lose as little as possible. So we want that protein to be as high as possible. So if you're living like a very sedentary lifestyle, let's say you're only working out here 3 days a week and you have your job at the bank or you have your home office or whatever it is and you're very sedentary, you're going to have to eat very, very little food, and it's going to be very hard to get enough protein in to really satisfy your body's needs of protein consumption in order to maintain muscle. So you will start to lose muscle as you lose weight. So our goal is to get your activity level up as high as we can. We want you moving 60 minutes every single day, 7 days a week, more if possible. It's going to help you eat more food, so you're not going to be quite as hungry. And on top of that, it's just going to be better for you in general, getting more active and getting out there. So I hope that clarifies everything you need to know about calories in, calories out, and the foundation of how you lose weight.